All right, hello. What's up, Twitch? What's up, Facebook? What's up, YouTube? Hope everyone's doing well on this very fine day. What day is it? Today is, let's see, November the 2nd, 2021. I'm just going to get everything rolling here. We got to get Instagram going. We're here for a Q&A, our weekly Q&A. Hope everybody's having a good week. I'm just trying to give me 1 second while I get everything set up here. Just want to make sure I don't miss anything. Where are my comments? Here they are. Very good, very good. All right, keep this here. My screen decided to stop working today, so that's very good. But we're getting Instagram going. Sorry for being a couple of minutes late here. Instagram is going live. We are good here on Twitch, Facebook. Man, so a couple of things happening that you got to know about, that you should know about, and that's that Jazz Trombone Day is coming up. Jazz Trombone Day, that's November the 20th. So it's free for anyone to come to. What's happening? John, Francisco, Sean, Eduardo. Jazz Trombone Day, we're going to have a great day. We're going to have some great, what's up, Alton? Hello. Seeing some great cats drop in. What's up? Alton, come to Dallas on November 20th for Jazz Trombone Day. That'll be a good hang, very good hang. Get this sync happening. We have some really amazing finalists coming to play in the competition. They're all up on the website now. So if you go up and just Google UNT Jazz Trombone Day, you can find it, or just go to my website and go to UNT and you'll find it, or go on Facebook. And I posted about it yesterday. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have great master classes. We got Jeffrey Miller and TJ Norris giving great master classes thanks to the sponsorship of BAC Musical Instruments. They're sponsoring our virtual master classes for November 20th, our Jazz Trombone Day. And we're also having Con Selmer, who is the main sponsor, the presenting sponsor, sponsoring Ido Mashulam, a great LA-based tenor trombone player who is coming to hang out with us, play with the YouTubes, and do all sorts of fun things that day. So it's going to be a lot. And it's online, and it's free, so you should come. So it'll be streamed all day. I got an event saved on the YouTube channel. So if you want to save it, you want to go just bookmark the UNT page, it'll be there. So those things are happening, and I want to give a shout out to all of our sponsors. Obviously, Con Selmer, the presenting sponsor, and we have BAC doing the virtual master classes, and we also have our instrument-specific, competition-specific sponsors. We have 3 sponsors there. Con Selmer jumping in to provide the grand prize of a King Jazz trombone for the competition, and then we also have A&R mouthpieces as the 3rd prize, a custom A&R mouthpiece, and 2nd prize, a Butler Trombones custom hand slide. So those are those carbon fiber hand slides. David Butler's great trombonist in this area, in the DFW area, and he runs Butler Trombones. So if you want to check out Butler Trombones, you won't be disappointed if you want to check out those carbon fiber. So if you're joining us now on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you are, feel free to drop in any questions you have. Of course, this is our weekly Q&A. I'm just giving a little preamble to the meat and potatoes of the episode. Talking about Jazz Trombone Day coming up on November the 20th. We're trying to top our numbers from last year. We had almost 2,000 people last year tune on virtually, and hoping to meet or exceed those numbers. So I hope you can drop by just for at least a couple of minutes and say hello and see all of our great guest artists and see the UNT YouTubes, the award-winning UNT YouTubes, who are also playing tonight. So if you are in the DFW area, if you want to come and hang out with the YouTubes tonight, they're playing at the student venue tonight, the Syndicate, here on the campus of UNT. So I think that's it. Those are my important things coming up. I also have a record coming out a couple weeks on November 12th. This is the record. It's called Out of Focus. It's a bunch of things that I recorded. So if you want to pre-order those are available on my website. But this is not about me hawking my stuff. I do want to always talk about Jazz Trombone Day because it's such a big deal here and for me, and just to shine a light on young jazz trombone artists. So that's why I talk about it week after week after week. November 20th, every fall. This is the 3rd time we've done it, and I'm just grateful to all the sponsors who've gotten involved to help us out and help us present something unique and really shine a light on the trombone world, the trombone community, because there's so many great artists like Alton. Alton was a finalist last year, Alton Senkelar, and he obviously plays great and is a great young artist. So that's what we're trying to do. So drop in those questions for our Q&A. I'll start by talking a little bit about something. I see a question from John here, so I'll go ahead and get to that. But I was thinking, before I get to John's question, if people are interested, I was just working on a little bit of Barry Harris bebop kind of stuff to kind of throw in to the mix here. What's up, Ignacio? What's up, Martin? Kevin, thanks for joining. Glad you guys could be here. Feel free to jump in on the question train if you like, or jump over to YouTube or Facebook, whatever you guys like. But here we go. So here's a question from John, jumping right into questions. John says, hey, Nick, what's your ideal rest time between exercises when warming up or doing daily fundamentals? 10 seconds, 30 seconds, only enough time to take another breath? Oh, that's a good question. I've never measured it, to be honest with you, John. I've never said like 10 seconds or 30 seconds. I wouldn't say that I rest all that much in between exercises, but enough time to take a breath or two. If I'm playing through like a routine, like the routine that I put out that I know you've been doing, it's called Get Set. That kind of is back to back, bang, 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 bang. But sometimes I pause it, sometimes I need another second or two, maybe 10 seconds, 30 seconds. But I think enough time to stay relaxed, I think, is the answer that I would want to give. Whatever the amount of time is that allows you to stay relaxed, that's the amount of time that you should take, I think. What's up from Chile? Ignacio, thanks for being here. Concepcion Jazz. Tanner Gardner, what's up? Thanks for joining. Alex, how are you? Hope everyone's doing good. Another thing I have to say is that we're still accepting applications for UNT for next fall, for fall of 22. It's 2021 right now, so fall of 22, and we have some TA positions open in our studio. We have a bunch of grad students who are finishing up this next semester, which is exciting. And so my TF spot is open, and I'm excited to be able to work with somebody coming up. So if that's you, you can go on my website and just go on the UNT page, and you can find all the information there about applying to come and hang out. But that should be a lot of fun. You get to direct the YouTubes. If you've never directed a jazz trombone ensemble before, it's pretty fun. We encourage lots of arranging and originals and doing all kinds of things. We got a CD that we're working on, should come out before the end of the year. There's always lots of fun and exciting things. And of course you get to come to Jazz Trombone Day every semester or every year. But those things I have to say, because we got about a month left, and we do a pre-screening for our application. So we got to get those pre-screens in to get an audition scheduled for early 2022. So that should be a lot of fun. So I hope that you can apply if that's you, or if you know someone that's thinking about coming to school for jazz trombone, wants to go deeper on jazz trombone. This is the place. There's many places, but this is a great place to do that, I think. What's up, Julieta? What's up, Tracy, Oliver? What's happening? Glad you could join. Okay, so we were talking about amount of time of resting and during fundamentals. Lynn, yes, it is an online event. It's going to be streamed all day. Streamed all day for totally free. We just, if you register, you'll definitely not miss it. If you register, you'll get all the information, the program, and all that stuff sent to you ahead of time. So if you want to register, definitely register so you get all that info. But it'll be streaming on YouTube and Facebook all day. Not on Instagram, though. That'll be too hard, because we've got a lot of moving pieces. Okay, so we're talking about that, and then I was talking about a little bit of Barry Harris, and I want to talk a little bit, nice, yeah, Sweden. So it'll be a little late to see everything, but we're starting 10 a.m. Central. The opening event is me doing a recital, so you'll get to see at least that, if you really want to watch me. But we'll have that, and then we'll have Jeffrey Miller, and we'll have the Oklahoma State University ensembles playing. We have Ido playing, doing a master class, Ido Mashulam. So anyway, all the schedule stuff is up online. I'm not going to run through it a million times right this second, but definitely register so you can get all that info ahead of time and the schedule. So improvising, jazz trombone. I want to talk a little bit about some strategies. And I think that sometimes we skip over them because we're just getting busy trying to deal with the trombone sometimes. And we forget that we have to come up with language that we can play, learn language, develop language that we can play on the trombone that fits into the bebop style. So I think sometimes we get obsessed with Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie, and we forget about two other really great approaches to playing bebop that come from the piano. And I find that they're a little bit easier to play these type of shapes on trombone than some of the Bird really fast kind of stuff. So that's Bud Powell and Barry Harris. So recently I've been really digging into some detailed stuff about Barry Harris. And so if you are interested, he's got lots of videos online, but he's got some great approaches to just starting to get the flow of playing bebop. And so if you are a person that wants to get better at playing jazz improvisation, going into this world of learning bebop isms. So I was just learning this. So let me pull this up on my screen, and I can play some of it for you and show you what I mean. So documents, Barry Harris. Yeah, here we go. All right, so he has all these little kind of isms, right? So that sound like bebop, make things sound like bebop, or bebop-ish, right? So they're just like little shapes. And so when I think of shapes, there's like shapes like fourth shapes. There's shapes like triads. There's shapes like chromatic shapes or clusters. There's all kinds of shapes. And there's also like bebop shapes. And so he's got some great ones here. So we're in the key of C, This is going to be a little loud probably. So he's got it like this. All right, we're surrounding the third. We're in C major. Like he has all these like little things, the little decorations around. Like check it out. So you're gonna add on to that, like add a bebop scale to it. Right? Here's the shape again is what was it? So you can really get a lot out of little items like that. Little bebop isms. So I'm not going to play the whole worksheet, but super underappreciated, I think. What's up, Jose? What's up, Freddie? Trevor? What's up, Raj? Gabriel, we're doing our weekly Q&A here. So if anyone has any questions about jazz, trombone, whatever, releasing records, doesn't matter what it is. We're here just here to hang out and chat. So we got people from all over here. We have Europe, Sweden. I know that's Europe too, but Sweden, USA, New York, different cats from all over. G, B, C, F, E. Yeah, that was that pattern for the key of C major. G, B, C, F, E, landing on the third of the one chord. Ba, boo, be, da. That's not your king. Yeah, that's my king. It's right here. Yep, this is it. King. You can kind of see the emblem. Maybe not really, but yeah. King, 3B plus. It's just pretty beat up. I play it a lot, right? And I have really acidic body chemistry, so it starts to wear pretty quickly. But yeah, it's a 3B plus. The 3B plus is 525 bore, so it's medium bore. None of that tiny 500 stuff. No, everybody has to play what they like. I just happen to like the sound that comes out of a little bit bigger of an instrument, and it's just a preference. So if I can give you any little bit of advice, when you're going after deeper understanding of the language, just trying to take the approach of trying to learn the language like you learned the language, of English or Spanish or any language. You learn by like learning words or little phrases and kind of knowing where they go, and then you kind of figure out how they go together. So we have scales, obviously, and we've got arpeggios, but really we need those type of shapes that sound like bebop, it's not scales. It doesn't sound like scales when you hear Barry Harris or Bud or Bird or anybody. That doesn't sound like scales. It sounds like music, you know. The scales only make up part of it, or the arpeggios only make up part of it, but you got to get those little shapes into your playing. So that's what I call bebop-isms or bebop shapes. And so if you haven't done any of those sort of things, enclosures, and on trombone, we struggle, at least I do, with like, if you haven't played that shape before, like if I haven't played a shape, I'm not going to like totally be able to invent a new way to play a shape on the fly, you know, and I've said this before. I have to practice it beforehand. I have to shed, you know, I have to like go in and actually make sure that I can play it, you know, so you got to shed it beforehand. These things aren't magic, you know. JJ worked out his solos. I was just looking ahead to, you know, in one of our classes every semester we deal with JJ Johnson's Bonology solo. And it's a super clear example of the fact that JJ used to play similar solos a lot of times on tunes. So there's two recordings of this song, Bonology. And the solos are almost exactly the same until you get to the bridge. The head is the same. The first half is the solo is the same. You get to the bridge, and he starts it the same. And then it changes. And he's got different things worked out after that. But there's two versions. There's one that's there's a record that's got a trombone on the front. It's just like the trombone record and something like that. There's a version on there. And if you find it on YouTube or whatever, Bonology, you'll see there's one version that's got like the trombone album or something, and the other one has the J.J. Johnson Quintet, you know, and it has something like there's a Barry sax player. There's like a woman on the front of the album cover, so it's like, you know, I don't know. It's the same. So it just to say that you can be prepared. Like even though we improvise in this music, you don't like totally reinvent the wheel every single time you pick up your instrument. You play what you know, and if you know the language and you know the shapes within the language, then obviously you're more easily able to execute and be able to express yourself within the music. What's up? Muniz Music. What's up, Levance? Hope you're good, man. Congrats on all the recent placements. I've been seeing that. That's killing. Christian Crawford. What's up? Thanks for joining. So just to say, especially on trombone, that there's no reason not to shed these little shapes so that when you go to improvise, especially in a bebop style and a jazz straight ahead style, that you have this sort of language, these enclosures, these little turns of phrase under your slide, under your hands, under your ear. It's all about being able to hear it, you know. And I'll, you know, duck down again. You can kind of see it. You can just make sure you go slow, man. Make sure you go slow. Let's see if I can point over here. Yeah. Oh, now I'm in the way. So go slow. Go slow. So how are you all doing today? What are you guys thinking about? What are you working on? What can we chat about that's going to be useful to you and your shedding? Let me know. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you're working on. Imagine PT. What's up? This is our weekly Q&A. I know I didn't share anything before going live today, but this is the time of the show. Some weeks I forget that I can't actually do this time, but this is the time, generally speaking, that we can do. So this is the time that I'm here. So we can talk about whatever you want. We're approaching 100 episodes. I got to figure something out to do for the big 100th episode, whatever that might be. But I started this before the pandemic, actually. So I started in December of 2019 when I was I don't know, I just was like, I'd always had a goal to start doing a live stream of some kind, and obviously now I've got two different ones. We do this one on Tuesdays and then at least like once a month on Mondays, which we're going to do one next Monday. So if you're watching this, you can know that next Monday, November 8th is next Monday, we're going to have a kind of an album preview concert of music from this Out of Focus album for the office hour stream. So I've been featuring some of my students, some of the students from UNT in some virtual performances, some live streams on the YouTube channel. It won't be on Instagram because the sound isn't. You got all the microphones hooked up. It's super difficult to get it into Instagram, even though you can do it. But It's gonna be on YouTube, so that's gonna be on Monday. We're gonna check out some music from Out of Focus. But Christian Crawford has a question here. He asked me, "What's my favorite big band album?" My favorite big band album is, the thing with I'll answer your question, but the thing with one of my favorite big bands is Duke Ellington's big band, his orchestra, and the thing about that older music that was originally released on like 33s was that like maybe it was only one tune per side or two tunes, and when they were reissued, then they get reissued on all these compilations. So some of it I'm not sure, like some of the Ellington stuff, I actually don't know what the original albums were. So to be able to say like original albums of Ellington stuff can be kind of problematic, but I love the Ellington suites. Those are a couple of things that I love, like the Middle East suite, the Such Sweet Thunder suite, and the New Orleans suite. Those ones are favorites of Ellington stuff. And then I love the new album by Maria Schneider, Data Lords. That one's really great. I fell in love with her music through that Concert in the Garden album, so that's another favorite. I love the Brookmeyer stuff, like that first record, the Village Vanguard one, the Vanguard Jazz Orchestra with Bob Brookmeyer's music. That's a great one. Just that first one that's got Elko, and that's the one with Clark Terry on it, and it's got Ding Dong Ding and all of those tracks. For some reason I forget the name of that record, but it's blue. I usually remember the color of the records. That's another favorite. So there's a bunch, but I love big bands that have a sound. Like that's why I like Maria Schneider's band. That's why I like Brookmeyer's music, because it's got such a vibe. And Ellington, you can tell it's Ellington. You can tell it's bassy. It's not like generic sounding. Like I feel like sometimes, not everyone, but like sometimes people write music that sounds like super generic, or like their ensemble plays music that's super generic. It doesn't sound like them, and it sounds like they're trying to recreate a bunch of other things to fit into like a box that like jazz sounds like this, and like this is the box, and they try to write music that fits into that, rather than like if you're gonna go through the time and expense of like having your own big band, you might as well have a viewpoint. I feel like Gil Evans is another one. There's so many great Gil Evans things. Again, some of them are albums, like the ones with Miles, and some of them are like arrangements from different people, So there's that Centennial album that Ryan Truesdale put out of the Gil Evans Project. That's got a bunch of amazing pieces on it. Darcy James Argue writes great music too. But on that album, Centennial, this is connected to Brookmeyer too, and Ryan Truesdale, who runs that project, tells this story usually on the gig that like there's an arrangement of this old Burton Lane tune called How About You, and that it was for the Claude Thornhill Orchestra, and that Claude was it's a really hard arrangement, but it's really short. It's like 3 minutes, really concise, really beautiful, that Gil did, and that he used to always save it for I think he would say like maybe the first tune of the second set or something like that, so that the band didn't drink too much on the set break. And it is difficult, but it's beautiful, and it's so interesting. The orchestration is cool. There's French horns. Obviously, it's for Claude Thornhill's band, so there's flutes and piccolo. Anyway, so for big band stuff, like I really love bands that sound like themselves and don't sound like this is big band, because there's plenty of that stuff out there, and that's good too. But I really I want it to sound like this is the band, and when the personnel changes, it sounds different. I don't want it to sound like this is the archetype of big band. Let's make it sound like that, Sometimes that's appropriate, and I could see reasons why you might want to do it that way. But for me, talking about like my favorites, like what's going to make something really stand out to me as a favorite, that's it, man. It's got to have a vibe, and it's got to have a sound sonically, something identifiable, not just like whatever, general big band stuff. So I guess that was not really your question, and I kind of dodged your question because I said a whole bunch of different things, but there's definitely a couple of albums worth checking out in that pile of albums. But what else? What else are you guys working on? What are you thinking about? What are What do you want to chat about today? Oh, here's a question that's coming in from someone else. This is a good one. It says for DMA auditions, it says straight eighth notes for one song. Do you mean funk or Latin? I guess it could be funk. I was thinking just straight eighths like Latin, I think. I know this question is not related to the Q&A. A text message, and I'll text you back. Professor Goods, I'll text you back if you're watching. But probably Latin, I guess. It could be funk if you want, I guess. Just something that's not swing, I guess, just for a contrast. And if you wanted to send all swing, I wouldn't be upset. But yeah, I'll text you back once I'm done with this. What's up, David? What's up, Chris? Philip has a question. Favorite lead trombone players? You know, I think for the same reason, I can kind of go on the same thing, same vibe that like Vincent Gardner. I was going to say Vincent Gardner has such a unique and personalized style. The way he plays is really great. You know who was here the other day was Ben Patterson, formerly of the Airmen of Note. He's an amazing lead trombone player. I really like how Lawrence Brown plays lead trombone. I think Quentin Jackson played great lead trombone. Britt Woodman, you know, all those guys from the Ellington band played great lead trombone. Ryan Keberly is a great lead trombone player, and in a completely different way, but also great. Marshall Jilks is a great lead trombone player. Michael Deese plays great lead trombone, but they all play very different, and I think that's cool. I like that. I like when it's like, oh, this person is shaping the sound of the section, and it's not just going to sound like generic big band, you know. Just to say the same thing I said a moment ago, you know. I think it's worth exploring that idea of personalization. But to me, that's like the Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra. When those cats are playing, they have a vibe. They have a unique way that they phrase, and that comes from. They each have strong personalities, but like Vince plays with a lot of expression, and so does Elliot, and so does Chris. Like they all have a way of doing it. So when they're playing lead, it's got a vibe, and it's got an interesting way of being expressed. You know. What's up, Mr. Bitu? What's up, David, Maestro, Emmanuel, Fedor? Good to hear from you all. Thanks for the questions. We'll just leave this question up here so people can know that we're questioning this afternoon. But yeah, I guess today's just turned into me ranting about people needing to play what they hear and not just playing what they think they're supposed to be playing. So that's an interesting dichotomy of like school and like academia and like being a professor and like also being an artist, like, or trying to be an artist, you know, releasing your own music, having a point of view. It comes from time. It comes from studying the music, knowing what came before and what's appropriate and what's not in different styles, and being like, you know, I'm going to break this rule, or I got to play by the rules, or, you know, being aware, musically aware of the context of what's happening around you. I think that's important, you know. So I think, yeah, and I'm like a walking contradiction, and I realize that. So if you're like being like, man, he said something else the last time, and it's like, that's the beauty of jazz and music. It's like it's contradiction all the time. It's like, you want to learn how to play bebop, well, you better learn how to play Bach, you know. But Bach, you know, it's like swinging Bach. But it's like Bach was kind of a jazz musician. He played voice leading, just like Sonny Stitt, just like Bird, you know. I don't know. Anyway, here's another question that's coming in from Gao. I like your avatar, Gao. It says, thanks for streaming. Sure thing. I want to copy some of your solos, but can't tell what articulation used, such as DG, especially in fast passages. How can I get familiar with trombone syllables? That's a good question. Well, that's nice of you to want to transcribe some of my stuff. What's up, Ken's? So I use like a soft double tongue syllable, something like that, you know. Or if it's triple, I would say like digada, digada, or dagada, or dugada, or digada, 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 digada. I occasionally also doodle tongue. I'm not the most expressive doodle tonger or a clean doodle tonger. So sometimes I would I've said this before, and I'll say it again now. I'm borrowing from the great Marshall Gilks. At a master class I saw him give, he talks about articulating how you would say the rhythm. So if you're learning one of my solos or somebody else's solos that's fast, how would you say it? Would you go? I think using the D and the G softens up so it's not ta 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 ta, because ta and ka, they make it seem kind of bright and square. But digga digga da, or dooga dooga doo, or daga daga da, or some combination thereof, dooga dooga digga 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 digga. Sounds more like jazz, for lack of a better way to put it. But to learn about trombone syllables, it's an interesting thing. There's the syllable that you say when you articulate, and there's also the syllable on the inside of your mouth when you're playing. So O for the low register, A for the mid register, and E for the upper register. So O, A, E. And this is something Teray really used to get on my case about a lot, making sure that you're matching up the sound you want with the syllable. And that oftentimes when you can't make a clean jump or clean jump in intervals, it has to do because you got the wrong syllable. So if you're trying to go ah and hit, or O and hit a high note, oh, it's going to be it's not going to come out right. So you got to go O, A, E. And so you get those by changing the tongue on the inside of your mouth. I know it's a lot of information, probably needs clarification, but if somebody wants to follow up on that, let me know. Here's a very perceptive question from Alton, which I don't know if I have the answer, but I'll try to answer the question. It says, when do you draw the line between personal choice versus not being non-informed within a teaching context? Personal choice. So within a teaching context, it's different. I thought at first when I read your question, I thought you were saying like not in a teaching context, but in a teaching context, drawing the line between personal choice versus non-informed. In a teaching context, I always lean towards being more informed, and always demanding the student to be more informed rather than less informed. So I just ask, sometimes in the form of a question or in the form of, as an exercise, could you play as if, we're playing in an Art Blakey tribute and you're trying to be Curtis Fuller and it's fast and blah, blah, blah. What are you going to do? What are the characteristics of how you can play that are going to make it fit this thing? Or if it's somebody that wants to play, adventurously avant-garde in terms of harmonic stuff, be like, all right, so if you imagining as if you wanted to be Bud Powell on the trombone, what would that sound like? So I usually try to posture it as a question and posture it as an exercise, or all right, so if you showed up on this trad gig and had to play Indiana and not Donna Lee, what would you do different? How could we play another solo on this tune that's going to sound like Jack Teagarden and not like Curtis Fuller or not like JJ. So yeah, of course, Curtis, get that heart. You need more than one heart. I'm kidding. just teasing you. So that's what I do in terms of being informed versus personal choice. I think in education, for me, I go to the middle and then work outwards. So I just you gotta understand how harmony works, got to understand the great voices of our instrument. And that's kind of like the middle of the history to me at this point. If you're thinking 1917 to 2021, it's the 50s and 60s is that middle point. So that's a go there, and then kind of go outwards from there. Here's a question from Josh Gilly. What do you look for in a drummer? That's a good question. It changes depending on the project, I suppose, but some things that are really important to me about a drummer are, one, that they can swing, and that they got a really strong beat, and that they're not going to slow down. I'm okay if they speed up. If they slow down, I'm not interested in playing with them. I like a drummer that's got fire. I like a drummer that's going to speak, that's going to put their thing on it. I don't want them to just play what I think it should be. I want them to make musical suggestions, not by being like, what do you think about this? But just play it. Just do it. Within the context of the music, being informed about the context of the music. So I'm looking for personality. I'm looking for all of that. And then for me, the drummer has to be able to read also. I have too many charts, too many arrangements to be able to hire somebody. And I'm done rehearsing. I try not to rehearse anymore. not that there's anything wrong with rehearsing. Rehearsing is a very useful thing to do with a band, but like I don't want to have to rehearse. It's a luxury to rehearse, you know, and sometimes most of the time there's no time to rehearse. There's a sound check and that's it. So it's got to be someone that you can trust, you know. So that comes into a lot of it, really, is like a relationship with someone that you trust, personally and musically, and then being able to play in different styles. Like my records, they're jazz, but they kind of have a range of vibe, you know. So you got to be able to play all those different vibes, you know. And yeah, just the history, knowing the history, feeling the history of the music and the way they play, the drummer plays, you know. I like a lot of different drummers for different reasons, you know, but they all have that in common, that they have a strong beat, they swing, and they can play a bunch of different things, and they can read music, and they're trustworthy. I can trust them to show up for the gig, know the music, wear the right clothes if there's a dress code, you know. I actually don't ever give a dress code for my gigs, but, you know, that's, maybe that's another story. All right, I saw a question that I missed. Yeah, John has a question. This summer's boot camp, Steve Davis. Yeah, so I've been to the last 2 years. I did a virtual trombone boot camp where we had guest artists and stuff. So for context, and Steve Davis was a guest. So Steve Davis mentioned playing while watching a ball game. Do you ever do that, or is all your playing very focused with intention? Any thoughts? Yes, that's a really great question. I think that there is 100% a time and a place for practicing while you're doing something else, because when we're playing gigs, there's always multiple things going on. You're listening to the rhythm section, and your playing has to be on autopilot. So for me, I have to practice that way too. So when I'm playing or practicing shapes, scales, things that I need to get into the muscle memory, I might do it while watching a ball game, for sure, while I'm doing something else. You know, like it's going through the motions. You're getting muscle memory together. There's also a time and a place where you absolutely don't want to be doing that. If you're trying to practice making music, you got to be 100% focused on making music or composing. Like I can't compose like while I'm distracted at all. Like that's the one activity where I literally have to turn off my phone, shut the computer, and no distractions, because anything bips or boops, like I can't focus when I'm composing. But when I'm practicing, I think there's a time and a place for that. And I do it, and I did it in college a lot. You know, when it's like, okay, on this day, I can do this at this time and this at this time. So, yes, I definitely do, and have, and will do again in the future. Probably this weekend. Excuse me. Just need a little pick me up. All right, so I got a couple minutes left. It's 2:47 Central Time. So I just got a couple more minutes. So if there's any last minute questions, feel free to drop them in. Looking at my calendar for next week, I think we're good. So I think we'll be back next Tuesday, same time, same place. But I'll stay on for another couple minutes here and let any last minute questions that you're currently typing show up on my feed here, because there is a couple second delay, more like 20-second delay sometimes. But I'm really glad to hang out, really glad to connect. Like I said, Monday, the 8th, we're going to be doing a live stream around 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, of some music from this Out of Focus record. So we'll preview some of that. That's out next Friday, the 12th. And then, of course, we have the greatest day in jazz trombone, the UNT Conn-Selmer Jazz Trombone Day. So that's the 20th. David has a quick question here. Do you use slide cream or lubricant? I use both. I use Trombotine, and I also use the Yamaha slide stuff. This stuff here. Trombone, slide, lubricant. This little purple bottle. Yes, the purple bottle. So I use it in combination because they do different things. You know, like the Trombotine is really good for older horns. So on the Conn that I have behind me, I definitely use that one, and spray bottle. And then the Yamaha is like the in-between, you know, like it keeps things going. Excuse me. Was the piano player okay? Yeah, so in the last live stream, our pianist didn't show up. Yeah, he was okay. Let's just say that he forgot, because he did. So you can guess what happens when somebody forgets about a gig. even if it's a casual gig, casual gig in your office. All right. So yes, slide cream and lubricant, both. One more question here from Juan. What recommendations do you have for mouth fatigue apart from resting? You can start implementing a warm down if you don't do a warm down. The biggest advice that I got from a great trombone player who's teaching at Berkeley right now, he used to teach at Juilliard when I was there. His name's James Burton. He mentioned this to me. He got it from somewhere, I don't know where, but always about practicing in opposites. So if you're fatigued from playing a lot of gigs or a lot of rehearsals, strong and loud, when you go to practice, you need to practice the opposite. So you need to practice smooth and soft and delicate. If it's high, then you got to practice low. And if it's the opposite, then you want to do the opposite. So it's both. It's practicing in opposites. It's being aware of what you're doing and what you need to do to counteract those things. So that, and then I like to do whisper tones, and I like to do pitch bends. That really helps me when my chops are fatigued. But yeah, taking a rest is also good. But sometimes you don't have the opportunity. You got to figure out how to play through it as well. Fatigue is part of being a professional. What do you do when you get fatigued? How do you keep going? For me, it's relaxing, focusing on the air, focusing on the breath, making sure that I have great support and using those things to my advantage. So yeah. All right. Well, I got a student coming in just a couple of minutes, so I'm going to jump off. But thank you all for hanging out today, and we'll catch you really soon. Have a great rest of your week, even though it's Tuesday.